Alright, so this video is to help you guys with your 2.5 homework, number 8. So this is a rare thing, but hey, we're just kind of getting you guys to develop some skills here. But basically what it is it's to solve this problem, you have to do U substitution twice. Okay? So, what I told you guys in the hint was that the first thing you want to do is you want to let U be equal to the square root of x first. Okay, so that would be this piece, right? Ex up there. Okay, so let's go ahead and find the derivative of u with respect to x. Now, there's a couple ways to do this. One way is to change the radical into a power and use the power rule. Or you guys can remember the lesson I gave you from lesson 1.13, which just tells you that when you take the derivative of a square root, it's always 1 over 2 times that square root. You also need to multiply it by the derivative of the inside, but in this case, the derivative of the inside would just be 1, so there's no point. Now, at this point, we need to get the dx by itself, so I would need to multiply both sides by 2 square root x. So that's gone. And then I would need to multiply both sides by dx. And so now we got dx by itself. There we go. So now we're ready to do our u substitution. So I'm going to rewrite the expression now. But the following changes. Instead of the square root of x, I'm going to put a u there. And instead of dx, I'm going to put 2 square root x du. Because we're replacing the dx with what dx equals. Now, this is a little nifty trick here. Now, remember we said, what does u equal? U is equal to the square root of x, right? Well, I have a square root of x here, so guess what I can do? I can put another u right there. If we're saying that u is equal to the square root of x, then anywhere you see a square root of x, you can put a u there. So that's kind of weird. We don't usually end up being able to do that, but we did it here. So it works. You can do that. But we're still not done. This problem is still not quite yet ready to be solved. As I mentioned in the directions, you're going to do u substitution again. Okay, but this time I don't want to use u because I've already used the letter u. So I'm going to use a different letter. And since we're doing u twice, what makes more sense than saying w, right? W, get it? 2 u's, w. Okay. Anyway, so what I told you in the direction was to let w equal 1 plus u and do the whole u substitution thing again, but this time we're doing w substitution just because I'm using a different letter. So now I want to find the derivative of w with respect to u, which would just be 1. And then we get the du by itself, right? The same thing as doing the derivative of u with respect to x, it's just now we're doing the derivative of w with respect to u. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this with w. I'm going to replace this with dw because they're the same. But I still got this guy to worry about. I still have a u I need to get rid of. So we're trying to get everything to be a w now. So here we go. It's going to be, I believe it was the square root of w. Then we have a 2u and then a dw. So I'm still not quite happy yet because we still have a u in there and I need everything to be the same letter. I can't have that u there. So what do? We come back up to this thing here and we get the u by itself. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to replace u with w minus 1. Crazy. It's all this variables being moved around and whatnot. What did we say it was? It was w minus 1. So I'm replacing this u with what u equals, w minus 1. Now everything's a w. Don't worry, we're getting there. All right, next we're going to change this into a half power. And instead of having this 2 after it, I'm going to put it in front. It just looks better that way. Next, I'm going to take this whole thing and distribute it inside. So 2w times w. Remember, you're going to add those exponents. So what's a half plus 1? It's going to be 3 halves minus. And then when you multiply it times 1, it just stays the same. So cool. All right. So we've gotten it to the point where we can just do the power rule to each piece. So here we go. I'm going to add 1 to the power. And then we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Add 1 to the power. Multiply by the reciprocal. Don't forget your plus c. Okay. So multiplying 2 times 2/5 gives me 4/5. Multiplying 2/3 times 2 gives me 4/3. And then, what else do we need to do? We need to replace the u, or the w now. So what did we say w equaled? W was way up here. It was this guy. So I'm going to replace the w with 1 plus u. But we're still not done because the u wasn't originally there either. The u was also a substitution. So now I'm going to go way back up to the top, and I'm going to remember that u was the square root of x originally. So now I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to replace the u with the square root of x. And that is our final answer, thank goodness. So yes, numbers 7 and 8 are very nasty problems, but I give them to you on purpose. I want you guys to wrestle with them and try them out. But ultimately, of course, I'm aware that generally I'm going to end up having to show you how to do most of it. But hopefully that was an eye-opening experience to you that helped you learn something new to do.